Okay, so we can get started. Got my string cut up to about 20 feet. And then starting with the middle point, so you're going to have to see how your racket goes, is if you want to start from the bottom or the top. In my case, we are starting from the bottom, or at least the threading of the string. We're in business here. And now do the other side. So what you want to start off with is adjust your clamp. Obviously just tight enough to hold it in place, but not too tight to kink it. So loosened up a little bit. Let's see how that goes. And what I did here is just leave enough room for another clamp. That's the key to starting here. If you have a starter clamp, you might want to do it slightly differently, but this works for me since I don't have one. So here we go. I'll go ahead and move the other one through as well. Okay, well, that's the beginning. Alright, so I got the strings. I started stringing them. Got the first 4 rows through, 4 mains, and it's time to put the first clamp on. So you want to do is just on the 2 middle ones, tighten it up about 1/3 the way down, leaving enough room for the additional clamps right here. So I'll go ahead and do that. Next is adjusting your weight for your tension. I'm going to tighten it or have my string strung at 55 pounds. So the bottom of the weight is set to 55. And let's get started. Anyway, this is the Gamma X stringer that I'll be using. It's my 3rd time stringing any type of racket, so I'm definitely a beginner, but so far it's been very simple. I think anybody should be able to do it without an ease. Really the only thing that's semi-challenging is tying off the final knot, and even that isn't too bad. So really the key here is to have the weight perpendicular. That ensures that you have exactly 55 pounds. And let's see, and that looks about right. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp the next one. Alright. And let's do the other side. This guy around. And 1. And 2. Perfect. Just do one more so we can separate the clamps. And of course I got my trusty helper here. Excuse me. kind of the pattern till we're gonna go ahead and skip some of the crosses. Though that's something else to keep important is knowing which ones you're gonna have to skip. In my case, they're actually marked in the tie-off points, and if your racket is not, you probably want to go ahead and mark those, the skip holes, along with which ones are your tie-off holes. So anyway, I will continue doing this, and when I get to the skip ones, I'll resume the video. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm going to resume the video here. We're getting kind of close to the skipping hole, so I want to make sure I capture that. I think it's pretty common. There's usually dots on the ones you don't want to skip, and there isn't a dot on the one that you actually do want to skip. So that's kind of how you can tell. So let's see, tighten that. Let's loosen that. Not quite perpendicular, but let's just say it's close enough. And then the other side. Oh, a couple of things I want to make comments on is, was initially somewhat of course, cat is helping. Hopefully when you start doing it, by the time you get here, you mark, obviously mark the skip holes that you wanted, and also where you want to tie off if your racket doesn't have those markings. Mine does, so obviously I didn't do that. Alright. So here's the main cutoff point, and we can kind of start tying these guys off. There we go. And then go the opposite direction, over, under, and through. Okay, and that looks right. So now that I think I have the proper loops, I'm just going to go ahead and grab my pliers and kind of make sure I tighten everything as I go. Now the second loop, and you can use your, to get a little more leverage. And that's one side. Looks pretty tight. Yep. And like I said, really the key to that is when you're looking at your knots, the two strings are next to each other, and if you could think of it, one of them, when they start to release, if this starts to release, it will actually tighten the other knot. So that's kind of how although it takes me a while to make sure I got it right, but that's how I remember it for it to being right. So let's see. I don't know if that'll be visible, but you can kind of see if I can make it bigger. You can see the two loops right here, right? And as you tighten this one, and then when it gets loose on this one, it will actually pull on this string and make it tighter. So that's how it's supposed to work. So anyway, grab my pliers and try to start tightening things up. So first pull. Next thing to remember is you actually want to start your crosses fairly quickly, because as you can see, all of the tension is on a racket vertically, so you definitely want to go ahead and start going the other way, so at least you start balancing the load, pressure load on it. Right here. And make sure alter each one. That's actually, I think, pretty common mistake, and I have made it a few times, is actually missing some of the crosses and not going over under each one, so definitely pay extra attention to that. Are in mains, and then when you're stringing it, kind of string it all the way across so you don't wear out your strings when you slide them through. And then we go through again, and that's our knot. So I grab my pliers and cinch this guy up as tight as I can. First with this. So I could probably use the stringer at this point. So as that's tightening, I can start tightening this as well. Oops. Alright, that looks actually pretty good. As you can see, it's a pretty nice knot there. So things are going well. So now for the rest of the crosses. So here, we only really need one clamp. And we'll start, let's see if I can get that in here. Like that, and away we go again. So like before, it's important that we start off alternating the string here. Make sure we don't skip any. Up, down, up, down. Right, make sure no kinks. I said, so once you get started, it goes a little faster. Thing to do is really just start tying this off, so we'll do that now. Snip some of this for now. And since we're going to be tying this one off, like I said, the finishing knot is pretty tricky. I have been putting a little extra tension on this guy because you are going to lose maybe as much as 10% from what I read tying it off. So go ahead and kind of tighten it a little more than normal. Okay, so you gotta do 2 loops and then go ahead and run the string right through them. So let me go see. Yep, this is the cross. So run that through. And so go down and over. And back down, I believe. Down, back, over. And tighten this up a little. We go ahead and, let's see, take the string, back towards the frame and go through the 2 loops. Like that. Pretty much do it. And now just to make sure we get it nice and tight. Okay. Let's go ahead. And you can kind of see why I tightened this one a little extra, or actually a lot extra, because this thing, once I release it, it's going to give up a little bit of tension, which you should see. slid in. So that actually looks like a decent knot. And everything is holding nicely, so I'll go ahead and just tighten everything one more time just to make sure.